Zac Segal is the president of the Boston University College Republicans. We talked to him in September after Charlie Kirk was killed. Segal is now claiming on social media that he is the reason ICE showed up at an Alston car wash earlier this month and hauled off 9 employees.
This straight up snitch. This is truly a devastating time in America right now.
Zac Segal said he had been, quote, calling ICE for months on end, quote, to detain these criminals, unquote. 5 women and 4 men were detained in the raid, and according to their attorneys, many of them hold legal status and valid work permits.
There's some question about whether or not he's a U.S. citizen. He grew up in London, right? He was born in Florida, which one presumably I think would make him a citizen, but he grew up in London. Someone else said, how is somebody from Britain the head of the college Republicans at BU? But it's just, I think it's the abject cruelty of all of this.
Yeah.
It is the cruelty and the bragging about it.
A BU student says he called ICE for months to get them to raid an Alston car wash. Zac Segal, who's the president of the BU College Republicans, called the workers working there criminals, and he said he'd been calling ICE for months before the raid actually happened last week. Quote, "As someone who lives in the neighborhood, I've seen how American jobs are being given away to those with no right to be here." The attorney for these workers has said that many of them have legal status, that they had valid work permits to be working there that day, and that they should be released. It's also not clear whether his calls were actually the reason for ICE to raid the car wash. We reached out to ICE to see if they'd be able to confirm, and they declined to comment. So after the raid, the community in Alston rallied around a lot of the workers. They've held vigils. They've raised thousands of dollars in their support for legal fees. BU declined to comment about Segal's statement specifically. The executive vice president of BU student government said that although he supports free expression for students, that Segal and the college Republicans are not representative of the wider BU community on this issue. People online have had a very polarizing response to Segal's comments, especially after he doubled down early this morning. He said, "We have to stand up for this country," end quote.
This straight up snitch, and I'm going to explain why. He didn't call in that car wash and reported it for the greater good and the safety of others. He did so because he assumed, keyword, assumed, that these individuals were criminals and wasn't from around here and wasn't supposed to be here for whatever the reason. Meanwhile, he brings his here to London, taking up a college seat that's actually supposed to be for an American college student. And he wants to bring his to my country, make assumptions, and dictate who gets to stay and who gets to go. Well, homeboy needs to just shut the fuck up and take several seats with this one and let us real natural born Americans from around here determine who's safe and who isn't. He only called in that car wash because the individuals he called in on didn't deem to whatever delusional standards he had off into his little demented world upstairs. And come to find out, these individuals had work permits in their lockers. These ICE tyrants didn't even give them the chance to go fetch out of their lockers to clear up this whole mess. Thank goodness that they had lawyers to back them up on this. This is truly a devastating time in America right now, where you have Hispanics and Latinos that has green cards, that are citizens here, that are at risk of still being deported or detained, despite having their documentations, etc. And you have this, they want to use our resources and weaponize our ICE tyrants we're paying our tax dollars to to keep our streets safe from legitimate threats and criminals. And he wants to abuse that resource, knowing good and damn well he ain't even from around here. What a Mama Nation got this proposal. If anybody needs to be deported from this, it needs to be this snitch, because we don't need his snitching kind around here, abusing and weaponizing our resources against individuals he doesn't seem desirable in his eyes in his little delusional society. While this motherfucker here was born in London and schooled in the UK, according to the BA Athletics website, he has his sitting off in a university, taking up a seat that could be rightfully available to an American citizen. But he wants to come up into our house and abuse our resources to try to pretty much dictate around here. And shut the clown.
So a Boston University student just publicly bragged about calling ICE on a car wash in Allston. And now the whole city and campus is pissed. His name is Zac Segal, and he's the president of BU College Republicans. And in his own words, he's been calling ICE for months, and they finally reacted. 9 workers were detained. But here's the twist. According to their attorney, many had legal work permits, but they just weren't allowed the opportunity to return to their locker and get it, to display it and show it, before they were detained and rushed out. Segal went on X and literally was celebrating. He called them criminals and said, let's pump up the numbers, as if he was cheering on a sports team instead of dealing with people's lives. Community members are outraged, activists are calling it racist, and the families of the detained are traumatized. And then DHS basically said, yeah, the raid wasn't because of him. They said the raid was based on law enforcement intelligence, not some college kid's phone calls. So now this D-bag is claiming credit for something that ICE is saying he didn't even do. Meanwhile, 9 people are sitting in detention. This isn't a story about immigration. This is a story about abuse of power, privilege, and what happens when somebody weaponizes the system just to make a political point. It turns out this person wasn't even born in the US, was born in England. And now Boston University is filled with campus full of protesters testing this guy and his racism. Boston is talking, BU is talking, and this story is far from over.
9 car wash workers being taken into custody by ICE. An attorney representing those workers says some of them have legal work authorization and none have criminal records. Boston 25 News reporter Ryan Breslin joining us live from that car wash in Allston with a closer look at that video. Ryan.
Yeah, Nicole, so the video is from a man who was at this car wash getting his car detailed when federal agents swarmed around workers and started bringing them into custody. Take a look.
Hey, sir, can I ask? Oh, you're going across the sidewalk.
This is my car.
Yeah, I got you, buddy. All right, so you're going to have to, if there's any way, I'm going to back you up and you're going to leave that way, okay?
That way?
Yep.
Okay. Now, by the end of the video, that man had to remove the cleaning items being used in his car. An attorney representing the 9 car wash workers says 5 men and 4 women were taken into custody at Allston Car Wash on Tuesday morning. Witnesses describe seeing nearly 20 federal vehicles around the business. The attorney says they've gathered that none of the people are so-called criminal aliens. Some are from Central America and have lawful processes pending with immigration services. Some have legal work authorization and none have criminal records. He's filed a habeas corpus petition in federal court challenging the constitutionality of their detentions.
They were willing to cooperate and yet were just taken away and put in vans. Apparently a lot of the vans had Texas license plates on them. Many of the agents have masks over their faces. They look like they're from a paramilitary group.
This is undemocratic. There was no due process.
Now, a manager at the Allston Car Wash says that some of those workers had work authorization cards in their lockers at the time. We reached out to ICE for comment. We've not heard back. For now, we're live in Allston. Ryan Breslin for your local station, Boston 25.
When Zac Segal publicly called on ICE to raid a Boston car wash, he expected applause, but what he got instead was a political explosion. Community members, local leaders, and everyday Americans fired back with outrage, sarcasm, memes, and some brutally honest commentary. Some called it harassment. Others called it political theater. And a few said Segal just learned the hardest lesson in politics. Play stupid games, get very public consequences. Here, we break down the reactions, the fallout, and what Segal's move says about the current political climate where calling ICE isn't just controversial. It's a FAFO moment in real time. When Zac Segal dialed up ICE like it was customer service, he probably didn't expect Boston to clap back this hard. But that's what happens when you try to score political points off regular folks just trying to work. The community reminds you that fearmongering isn't leadership. The FAFO moment arrived fast, loud, and with more memes than his campaign team can handle. Whether people see it as reckless, performative, or just plain embarrassing, one thing is clear. Public stunts come with public consequences. If you believe in accountability, compassion, and calling out political nonsense when you see it, hit like, subscribe, and share this video. Asterisk here at the Progressive Democracy. We expose the mess, break down the spin, and let the FAFO write itself. Just a quick note, full credit goes to the original creators of these videos. Enjoy your day. See you on the next one.
Try to put between working class people. Our society has the needs to meet every single person's needs. We just need the political power to do so. So let's fight against the demonization of our immigrant communities and put the blame where it really belongs, at the feet of the billionaires.